Mark, when Jesus was engaging his disciples, he is doing a roundabout way of talking exactly about what you're talking about, is helping them reframe what does in fact matter to God. We look at Acts chapter 1, and the disciples have been through this whole arc together, and they're like, hey, now you're going to restore the Israel that we wanted, right? And you can also hear Jesus sigh, but he'll say, like, you still don't fully understand it. How do we in our own lives make sure that we're centering ourselves around the things that matter to God and not simply the things that matter to us?
That's an essential question, Steve. Thank you. I think I'm struck by the fact that when Jesus, you might say, was asked a similar question, his response was, my will is to do the will of the Father. And so in the shortest of shorthands, that's what we're supposed to be doing. And then, of course, it begs the question, well, what does the Father want? Well, that's where then we have to ask ourselves, is our Christian identity grounded in the essence of the Christian faith? Or is it grounded in the Christian religion that's built on the affirmation of Jesus as Lord? Those are not necessarily synonymous, and they aren't necessarily the same thing. The essence of the Christian church is really a people of God called into the communion with the triune God, made possible through the sacrifice of Jesus Christ. And that sense of fundamental Christian identity that is about following the Son who follows the Father is actually the essence of what the church's rhythm of life is meant to be. So hence, I've sometimes said we should never be more than 5 minutes away from rereading the Gospels again, because whatever else we're supposed to be doing today, it's meant to be following Jesus in a way that is obviously shaped differently by our own context and time and place, but imitates the character and quality and faith and faithfulness and love and mercy and justice of the way that God has revealed himself in Jesus. So I think it's this radical Christocentricity, the Jesus-centeredness that grounds us in our life in the triune God. And that is what's meant to actually cultivate and nurture the fruit that then is the display in our actions and in our character, the God that has been revealed in Jesus. And when the church does that, then the church matters, when it is showing its fruit. Now, I do want to say that it's quite clear from the Gospels that Jesus presents a God who is more than patient, and a God who does not expect all fruit to be only and fully mature and only perfect fruit. It's not that. It's the process of the fruit, but it's also the fruit. So in other words, there's room for us to grow and learn and fail and begin, and for us to doubt and question and thrash. But there's also this call to say, yes, but every time we come back, we are meant to reorient ourselves fundamentally to what it means to be a follower of Jesus, rather than, and I put it this way because I do think that they are to some degree in serious tension, rather than simply coming back into our typical rhythms of what the church is that we may be a part of, or the Christian tradition is that we may be particularly aligned with denominationally or otherwise. In the book that you mentioned, entitled Called, I talk about the fact that it is often one of my concerns that the gospel itself has gotten buried inside thick church. And in that thick church, people assume that it's the gospel, that the church is the gospel. The church is meant to display and bear witness to the gospel, but the church itself is not intrinsically the gospel. It's the gospel to which the church testifies by our actions, our love most especially, and by our proclamation, which is why the preaching task is so incredibly important to this whole exercise.